Every artist begins with a dream. But what no one prepares you for is this: the battles you face inside your own head, the rejections, the setbacks, the constant questioning of whether you're good enough. That's where most musicians get lost. The first chapter is all about survival. Not just surviving the industry, but surviving yourself. Because before you can break in, before you can sign deals, before you can build a brand, you need the mindset that will carry you through the tough times. So if you've ever felt stuck, lost, or ready to give up, this is where your roadmap begins. Welcome to Chapter 1, Music Industry Survival and Growth. Imagine playing Tomorrowland in Ushuaia when you're 21, releasing songs that hit over 100 million streams and traveling the world doing what you love. But deep down, you feel completely empty. That was me in 2017, and it's why I walked away from the music business. But this isn't just a story about leaving. It's a story about mental health, self-belief, and rediscovering your true purpose. Because after losing everything, from my career to all the money I made in music, I had to rebuild myself from scratch. And years later, music found me again. In this video, I want to share my journey. Why I left the music industry and even creating music, the years I spent lost chasing the wrong things, and how I finally came back. Not for fame, not for numbers, but because creating music is what I was meant to do. This is why I left the music business, and this is why I came back. Let's go back to the year 2017, the year I decided to leave the business. I just came off a few years of living my dreams. I released about 30 tracks on the biggest dance labels, released songs like Arcadia, Deja Vu and Zodiac that combined over 100 million streams back then. I played shows all over the world, from Tomorrowland to Ushuaia, from Asia tours to Europe tours. It was great on paper, but it didn't feel great. In 2016, I noticed the music I was making, big room EDM, wasn't as popular anymore as the years before. Not only me, but everyone around me was noticing it too. Getting booked and playing shows was not as easy anymore as the years prior. Keep in mind, at this time I was 22 years old and my mindset was completely different from my mindset now. Now I am 32 and have a much better understanding about life. Anyway, let's go back to the end of 2016. Because the big room sound wasn't as big anymore, I was told to do more radio and commercial stuff. This was also the time Spotify became a big thing, and for example, Closer by the Chainsmokers was the most popular song in the world. I was, you can say desperately, trying to do the same kind of music, but you can already tell, for me it wasn't working, because I couldn't put my soul into it. So fast forward to a year later, summer 2017, my music wasn't being picked up that great anymore, and my shows weren't paying as much as I used to, so I had to travel alone all the time. Also was I stressing a lot about being able to do any shows the months after. So I was looking into other ways to make money and found something that would truly change my life in both good and bad ways for the coming years. I discovered Bitcoin and crypto and I thought I had found the way out. Well, that turned out to be different. I went from extreme high highs to the lowest lows of my life. When 2018 started, I had quit doing shows and stopped making music for a few months already. It felt great at first because I didn't feel the pressure anymore of putting new music out every month. However, it all changed the year after. Having all your money in crypto and basically not knowing what you're doing brought me deep stress and sleepless nights. To make it worse, just a year later in 2019, I basically lost almost everything I had. So all the money I made from music, from touring in the past 5 years too. I was completely lost at this time. I gave up my music career for this life and I lost all money. And now we fast forward 2021. For the past years I was just trying stuff to make it work. Even went back to university for a few months. But of course it didn't work out. Now in 2021 I got the chance to come back in the music industry and was offered a job as A&R at Afrojack and Wall Recordings. This is the place where I got that itch again to start making music. I worked there for more than 2 years till the end of 2023 and I love to learn more about the business side of the music industry, something I didn't know anything about. Here I learned what royalties were, how music gets released, the marketing and basically all the work that goes into putting the music out to the world. Being surrounded by other artists all day and seeing them work in high-end studios inspired me to slowly start working on music again. Now fast forward 2024. I was not working at Afrojack anymore and one day I was just going through some music I made and showed my girlfriend something I made in the months before. She loved it and said, "Why don't you just release it on your own?" I never even thought about it. I thought it was never good enough to release it. So a month later, I did. And even though the song didn't do well in terms of streams, it was a big step towards releasing music again. Now we go a few months later to the end of 2024 and I mark this moment as the beginning of my comeback. In September 24, I was finally making music again on a daily basis after 6 or 7 years. When I got a text by Revealed asking me if I wanted to play during ADE at their Legacy vs Destiny event together with Kill the Boss and Mansa. I could not believe it. This couldn't be just a coincidence. The year I finally started making music again was also the year I got asked to do a show again. I will not talk here about fate or religion, but I surely know that this was meant to be. It was the perfect timing. Playing there really brought back so many memories and a feeling I hadn't felt in so long. My girlfriend was with me and she also felt the love we got from the EDM fans. That was the main reason I decided decided to fully focus on making music, and the goal was to get a release on Revealed again. It still took me 6 more months and a lot of demos and rejections to get to the point of my first release, but it was so worth it. I feel like I'm finally back on the level again where I left in 2017, and maybe even better. I left the music business because I wasn't happy anymore, and I thought it had to do with making music and touring. But it was never the music part. It was the pressure of being in your 20s and thinking this had to be it. This was the only chance of living your dreams you will ever get. It was too much, so I had to get away for a few years. In those years, up till now, I've learned so much about life, and now 8 years later, I realize the whole process of creating and making music is what makes me want to get out of bed in the morning. It is what I'm supposed to do in this life. So I can say with full confidence, I am back. If you've ever walked away from your passion, I hope my story shows that it's never too late to come back. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe if you want to follow this new chapter of my music journey. Imagine your favorite artist decided to quit after the first demo was rejected. That would suck, right? And what if I tell you every single successful artist you know has been rejected by a label at some point? The difference? Some quit and some use that rejection to level up. Rejection from a label isn't the end of your career, it's the start of your growth. And to prove it, I'm going to share how to handle rejection and my own story of being rejected by the same label that once released my biggest tracks. First, let's be real. Rejection stinks. You put weeks, maybe months into a song. You finally send it off, and then you get back that one line. Thanks, but it's not for us. That can crush you if you let it. And I know, because it happened to me. Last year, I decided to fully commit to producing again after being away from the scene for about 6 years. Sure, I made some tracks here and there, but not consistently. In 2024 I thought, let's go for it, let's sign some music again. I wasn't exactly a beginner. I'd spent over a decade producing and DJing and released around 30 tracks of some of the biggest dance labels and had over 200 million streams. Honestly, I thought coming back would be easy mode, but I was humbled real quick. The scene had changed. New, insanely talented producers were dominating. I realized I needed to step up my game. So I made some big room and EDM tracks, and after many years, I sent some music to Revealed, the label where I had released most of my songs back in the day. A week later I got the reply, thanks, but this isn't what we were looking for. And yeah, it hurt. Especially because I thought, this is the best I can do right now. But here's the thing, rejection always is an opportunity to grow. Back in the day, I handled rejection badly. I would get angry or I would get bitter. Sometimes I would even stop producing for a week out of anger. And that is the absolute worst thing you can do. This time, I let it sting for a couple of days and then I asked myself, what if they're right? What if I can do better? So I studied. I listened to what Revealed was actually releasing. I listened to Hardwell's live sets and I compared my own tracks. 2 months later, I had a new folder with fresh demos. And that work led to my first release of the comeback. Here's the truth. Rejection doesn't mean you're not good enough. It means you weren't ready yet for that label's standard. And that standard means something, right? Otherwise you wouldn't be aiming to sign there in the first place. So instead of letting rejection kill your motivation, use it to raise your own bar. And remember, labels aren't the only path anymore. You've got tools, platforms and ways to build your audience directly. If you build momentum on your own, trust me, labels will notice. Every successful artist has a rejection story. Mine with Revealed pushed me to get better, and it can do the same for you. So don't quit. Don't let a no block your creativity. Rejection is not the end. It's redirection. It's feedback. It's fuel. The only real rejection is the one you give yourself when you quit. Everybody wants to make it in the music business. We dream about the big stage, the screaming fans, the streams going crazy. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Talent alone won't take you there. What actually separates the artists who quit from the artists who break through is just one thing. It's called grit. Today I'm breaking down the science of perseverance and passion from Angela Duckworth's book Grit and showing you exactly how it applies to your journey as an artist in the music business. If you've ever thought maybe I'm not talented enough or felt like this industry is impossible to break into, then this video is for you. By the end you will see why grit, not talent, is the #1 predictor of long-term success in the music. And once you understand that, you will know exactly how to approach your career differently. So what is grit? Angela Duckworth defines it as passion and perseverance for long-term goals. It's not just about working hard when you feel inspired. It's about showing up day after day, year after year, even when it's boring, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Think about your music career. Anyone can get hyped up for a few months, release a track, maybe play a couple of shows, but grit is what keeps you going when the crowd is small, when your Spotify streams are flat, and when your emails don't get answered. That's grit, choosing to keep moving forward anyway. A lot of people confuse passion with intensity. Passion isn't about burning yourself out or being obsessed every second of the day. In grit, passion means consistency of interest over time. In other words, do you keep coming back? Are you still writing, still rehearsing, still creating, even years later? That's passion. It's not a quick spark of going viral. It's a slow burn that keeps you in the game long enough to build something real. And then there's perseverance. And this is the part most people underestimate. Perseverance means not quitting after your first failure or your 10th. Every single artist you admire has failed more than you probably realize. Ed Sheeran, he played to empty rooms for years. Lady Gaga got dropped from her first record label. The Weeknd released music online and got ignored for a very long time. But they didn't stop. They adapted, they improved, and they kept going. That's perseverance. And that's why they eventually broke through while others gave up. The writer also connects grit to something called a growth mindset. This is the belief that your abilities aren't fixed, they can grow with effort. For musicians, that shift is huge. Instead of thinking I'm not good enough, you say I'm not good enough yet. Every gig, every studio session, every practice is an opportunity to level up. Skills in music aren't handed to you, they are built. And the artists who understand that stick around long enough to see the results. Now here's the other piece of grit. Deliberate practice. It's not just about putting in hours. It's about practicing in a way that pushes you out of your comfort zone. Recording and listening back to your mistakes, writing dozens of songs knowing most won't make the cut, reworking the same verse until it finally clicks. It's frustrating, it's uncomfortable, but that discomfort is exactly what makes you better. That's grit, choosing the grind that leads to growth. Angela Duckworth even breaks it down with a simple formula. Talent times effort is skill, and skill times effort is achievement. Which means effort counts twice. Just think about that. You don't need to be the most talented person in the room. If you put in consistent effort, you will build real skills. And then, when you apply those skills to the real world, your effort multiplies into achievement. That's why the hardworking artist, the one who keeps grinding, almost always outlasts the naturally talented artist who gives up when it gets hard. So how do you actually build grit in your own music career? Here are 5 takeaways. Number 1. Define your higher purpose. Why do you make music? To tell your story? To connect with people? To inspire? That purpose will keep you steady when things get tough. Number 2. Fall in love with the process. Don't just chase the big break. Love the writing, love the late night studio sessions, love the grind, because that's where real growth happens. Number 3. Surround yourself with gritty people. If your circle is filled with people who quit when it gets hard, you will do the same. But if you're around other artists, producers and mentors who keep pushing, their grit will rub off on you. Number 4. Aim to improve every day. Focus on pushing your abilities, even just a little bit, and commit to constant, never-ending improvement. Small progress, stacked daily, leads to massive growth over time. And number 5. Develop a growth mindset. In music, that means believing your abilities aren't fixed. They grow with effort. You may not have the range, the production skills, or the stage presence you want right now, but with practice and persistence, you will. A growth mindset makes every setback part of your training and not the end of the road. So, if you're chasing a music career, remember this. Talent sets the stage, but grit keeps the lights on. Be passionate, be persistent, and give your best every single day. If this helped you, drop a comment below and let me know how you are building grit in your own music journey. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives on building a real, sustainable career in music. There's something you need to hear today. And I don't want you to hear it, I want you to feel it. Because it might be the one thing standing between you and the life you have been dreaming of. The thing is simple. Just start creating. Start writing. Start recording that song. Start sketching, filming, building, designing, whatever your dream is. Just start. Because here's the truth nobody really tells you. Life goes by so incredibly fast. You blink and months are gone. You blink again and it's years. And here's the danger most people don't realize. Waiting, doubt and fear is what kills more dreams than failure ever will. Every day you wait, you're teaching yourself that your dreams can sit on the shelf. Every day you wait, you make it harder to start. You think you're buying time, but you're really wasting it. And the truth, people don't fail because they tried and lost. They fail because they waited and life passed them by. Don't let waiting be the thing that buries your dream. And in those years, you could either be sitting there saying, man, I wish I started back then. Or you could look back and say, I'm so glad I began, even when I wasn't ready, even when it wasn't perfect. Perfection isn't the goal right now. Momentum is, action is, legacy is. And here's something you have to understand. You're never going to feel ready. You will tell yourself you need more time, more skills, more confidence, more money. But that feeling of being fully ready, it doesn't exist. Every creator, every entrepreneur, every musician, every dream chaser you admire, they all started before they felt ready. They learned as they went. They grew along the way. And that's how it works. You don't wait to feel ready. You start and then you become ready. The growth, the confidence, the skills, they don't show up before you begin. They show up because you begin. That song sitting in your laptop, just put it out. That business idea you've been overthinking, start building it. That skill you've always wanted to learn, open YouTube, open a course and learn it today. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect time. There is no perfect time. There's only right now. And I don't want to sound dramatic, but hear me. It can all be over before you know it. Tomorrow isn't promised. Next year isn't guaranteed. So why hold back? Why silence your own voice? Why keep your best self locked up in your head when the world is waiting to see it, hear it, or feel it? Start building that catalog. Start building that portfolio. Start building that legacy. Because every masterpiece began as a rough sketch. Every hit song began as a messy voice note. Every business empire began as a single step. And yours will too, but only if you start. So this is your sign. This is your wake-up call. Don't wait. Don't doubt. Don't hold back. Start today. Start scared. Start small, but just start. Because your best life, it's not something far away. It's waiting on the other side of your first step. So go. Start. Live it. Build it. Be it. Let's go. There will be days when you feel invisible. When nobody's watching. Nobody applauding. When you're exhausted. Questioning whether any of this is worth it. Those are the hardest days. And they're also the most important days. Because success isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the shadows. It's built when you just keep swimming. Today I want to share 5 lessons that every creator, producer, YouTuber, entrepreneur, basically anyone chasing a dream needs to hear when they feel like giving up. Lesson number 1. The silent work matters. Nobody claps for practice. Nobody cheers when you're grinding behind the scenes, but that's where greatness is made. Think about it. The producer spending years in their bedroom, building beats nobody has heard yet. The YouTuber editing videos that barely crack 50 views. The entrepreneur sketching out product ideas that no one believes in yet. It feels invisible, but every stroke in the water moves you closer to the shore. The takeaway is this: don't measure your progress in the beginning by applause. Measure it by effort. Lesson number 2. Consistency beats inspiration. Motivation comes and goes. Inspiration is a spark. But consistency, showing up when you're tired, bored, or frustrated, that's what builds momentum. Real momentum. Every day you show up, you're stacking bricks. One new beat, one new upload, one client call, one small step forward. Tiny actions compound. Think about your favorite YouTuber, your favorite producer, your favorite founder. They didn't arrive. They built, brick by brick, stroke by stroke. The takeaway is this: don't wait to feel like it. Do it anyway. Lesson number 3. Nobody's watching, yet. This is the hardest one to accept. When you're just starting, or even years in, it feels like no one cares. The views trickle in, the beats sit on your hard drive, the business feels like it's standing still, but that's just how it works. Nobody sees the seed in the soil. They only notice the tree once it breaks the ground. So don't be fooled by silence. Just because no one's clapping doesn't mean no one is coming. The work you're doing today may not pay off tomorrow, but eventually it will. The takeaway is this: silence is not failure, it's preparation. Lesson number 4. The hardest days are the real test. Anybody can work when it's easy. When your track finally gets attention, when your video takes off, when sales are flowing in, that's when momentum feels natural. But real growth happens on the hard days. When your upload flops, when nobody downloads your music, when your product launch falls flat, that's when most people quit. That's when the water feels too heavy. But if you push through, that's when you become unstoppable. The takeaway is this: hard days aren't roadblocks, they're training grounds. Lesson number 5. Progress is quiet until it isn't. Success rarely announces itself ahead of time. It's quiet, subtle, invisible, until one day it explodes. That overnight success story? It's never overnight. It's built on years of unseen uploads, unshared beats, and unnoticed ideas. Your job isn't to predict when it will happen. Your job is to keep swimming until it does. The takeaway is this: trust the process, not the timeline. So when you're tired, when you're questioning yourself, when it feels like no one sees you, remember this: the applause comes later. The results come later. The recognition comes later. But right now, your only job is simple. Just keep creating. Just keep producing. Just keep building. Just keep going. Just keep swimming. See you in the next one. Once you've built resilience, the next challenge is actually stepping into the game. And here's the truth: there's no single big break. What looks like an overnight success is almost always years of preparation, consistency, and smart moves. In this chapter, we will explore how to land your first release, how to recognize the signs you're building real momentum, and how to create a brand that gets you noticed. If you're ready to move from dreamer to professional, this is where the climb begins. Welcome to Chapter 2, Breaking into the Industry. Imagine chasing the same dream for years, sending demo after demo, and getting nothing but silence in return. Now, imagine in just 2 weeks hitting not 1, not 2, but all of your goals. It sounds impossible, right? Well, that's exactly what happened to me in 2013. And today, I'll show you how it can also happen to you. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to share with you the story of how I signed my very first big release. And more importantly, the lessons learned that you can apply to your own journey as well. Whether you're an aspiring producer, artist, or creative of any kind, I promise this story will show you the power of persistence, collaboration, and yes, a little bit of delusional self-belief. This story goes back to 2013. For anyone who was already around in the EDM space, it was the year of Animals, Tsunami, the legendary Ultra Miami live set by Hardwell, and the big boom of big room EDM. At this point, I was already making music for about 4 years. 4 years of practice each and every day. I remember sending my music to Spinning Records by CD and trying out every demo mail I could find to get my music signed. But up to that point, I still got nothing back. I had 2 big goals I worked on for years: signing a track to Spinning Records and signing a track to Revealed Recordings. Fast forward to the summer of 2013. I remember being on vacation with friends when Hardwell was playing Tomorrowland, and it got live streamed also. This was the moment I decided my goal was not only to sign a track to Revealed, but also to have a track in Hardwell's live set. By setting goals like this and continuing to work on it every day, I truly believe that the right doors will open for you eventually. It is simply a matter of pushing through and not giving up on your vision and a big amount of belief in yourself, especially when no one else does. When I got back from vacation, something happened that would influence my entire life. Someone from my neighborhood, who also was into producing, asked me to make music together. If you know me, especially back then, you will know I was a complete introvert, especially with someone who I didn't really know, so I wasn't too eager to say yes. But something in me said, you know, why not? Maybe you can learn a thing or two, or you could make a nice track together. The next week we met, and that day, as if he was put on my path to bring me to the next level, he gave me a sample of the kick drum I used in all my tracks. This sample is the kick that I used for Shockwave or What You Called Me, my first EP on Revealed, and almost every other song I made after that, including Ready for Action, Arcadia, Deja Vu, and Zodiac. Besides the kick drum I missed in my songs, he also gave me a tip that would change everything for me. He told me, if you want your music to be heard, don't send it to the general demo mail, but look for the A&R on Facebook or LinkedIn and send it to their email address directly. As simple as this sounds, I looked up the Revealed A&R at the time and I sent my demos, with the new kick drum of course. A day later I got a reply. He liked the songs, but not yet for a release, he said. But getting a reply from his personal email address meant that it worked. From now on I could send my music to the A&R directly. Even though I was rejected by the label, I was so happy to finally got my foot in the door. And the next day, I remember it was a Sunday evening and I didn't expect any email, but my notification popped up. It was the same A&R who told me he sent my music to Hardwell, and he did like it and wanted to put my music out on an EP. This later became my first ever release on Revealed, the Shockwave and What You Called Me EP. And the next week, Hardwell even played this song in his live set at Tomorrow World. You'll remember what I said in the beginning about my goals? I got 2 down in the same week. And to make it even crazier, that same week I contacted Alvaro and we finished our song Ready for Action, and Spinning Records wanted to sign it to their label. Still remember what I said about my goals in the beginning? Now I got all 3 big goals down, all in the same 2 weeks. My first release on Revealed, my first track in a Hardwell live set, and my first release on Spinning. I truly believe this is all about persisting on your vision and trusting that life will present the people on your path to get there. You just must be open to receive it. I really believe that invite by the producer from my neighborhood, who gave me the email and the kick drum, was put on my path to get me towards my goals. Your vision and dreams should always be bigger than any doubt or fear you have on how to get there. Simply, and I know it's not simple, but only focus on your vision, your dreams, and how you will get there is not up to you. That will reveal itself along the way. I was always visualizing myself on all the big main stages worldwide and seeing the crowd in front of me playing my own songs. That was the delusional self-belief I had for years already. Looking back, I realized it was never about luck. It was about persistence, setting big goals, dreaming bigger, and trusting that the right people would show up on my path when I needed them most. And the same goes for you. Whatever your dream is, don't let doubt decide your future. Focus on your vision, keep putting in the work, and trust that the how will reveal itself along the way. Because if I can do it, you can do it too. Stay persistent, stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next one. I've been in the music business for over a decade, and in that time I've learned a lot. Some lessons came through wins, most came through failures, and many came through just showing up year after year. Today I want to share what I've learned. These are timeless lessons, things I wish I knew earlier. If you're an artist or creative, or thinking about becoming one, this might save you some time. Part 1. Mindset comes first. Here's the first truth. Nobody cares about your art as much as you do. And it's not a bad thing. It's actually freeing. We all think there's a spotlight on us, that everyone is watching our every move. But the truth is, people are too busy with their own lives. That means you have freedom. Freedom to experiment, freedom to fail, freedom to try again, without the whole world noticing. And that leads me to this. You have to be your own biggest believer. Sometimes even a little delusional. Because if you don't believe in your own vision, no one else will. Dream big, and when you do, you start noticing opportunities you would otherwise miss. Look at successful artists, not to compare yourself, but to remind yourself that it's possible. And here's a warning. Don't let someone who gave up on their dreams talk you out of yours. Success demands courage. And if you feel fear, doubt, or imposter syndrome, that's actually a good sign. It means you're pushing into new territory, and that's where real growth happens. But here's the thing. People only cheer for you twice. At the beginning, when you announce your dream, and at the end, when you finally succeed. The long middle part, it's usually silent, so you've got to learn how to cheer for yourself. And appreciate the small circle of people who support you the whole way through. Part 2. Fall in love with the process. So let's talk about the process of creating. It's never about your resources. It's always about your resourcefulness. I started with an old PC, the demo version of FL Studio, and some cheap speakers. And even today, I mostly just use a laptop and some headphones. The gear matters way less than what you actually do with it. And here's a big one. You have to fall in love with the process, not the results. If you're chasing validation, money, or recognition, you will burn out. But if you love creating for the sake of creating, you will last. Now let me bust a myth. People say do what you love and you will never work a day in your life. That's complete BS. If you want to master your craft, you're going to have to push. Show up when you don't feel like it. Study, improve, face challenges. That's the real work. And while you're doing the work, remember this: iteration beats repetition. Don't just do the same thing over and over. Do, reflect, adjust, and continue. That's how progress happens. And yes, consistency is a secret. But here's the catch: consistency looks boring in the moment, but absolutely beautiful in the end. One track probably won't change your life, but dozens and maybe hundreds, that's what creates real momentum. Part 3. Failure is feedback. Now let's talk about failure. Because if you're serious about music, you are going to fail a lot. And that's not bad. In fact, if you want to succeed faster, double the rate of your failures. Each one gives you feedback, direction, data. Not getting results isn't a reason to quit. It's a reason to improve. Failure is reflection. And remember this: pain, setbacks, and obstacles, they're not detours. They are the road. They build resilience, patience, resourcefulness, and vision. They prepare you for the dream you are chasing. And sure, pain and motivation can light the fire at the start. Maybe you want to prove people wrong, or maybe you want to escape a tough situation. But long term, motivation fades. What sustains you is your why, your purpose. That's the fuel that keeps the fire burning. Part 4. Put your work out there. Here's something practical. You have to be willing to fail in public. Don't just send your tracks to family and friends. Publish them. Put them out there. Real feedback comes from real listeners. And don't underestimate the value of a single fan. When you're starting out, one person who saves your song or adds it to their playlist, that's huge. Be grateful for every single one. A rejection? You should expect it. If a label says no, it doesn't mean you're not good. It means you're not the right fit for them at that moment. Use it as feedback, raise your standards, and get better. Part 5. Music is art plus business. Now let's switch gears, the business side. This is where a lot of artists struggle. But here's the truth: marketing your music is just as important as making it. You can write the best song in the world, but if nobody hears it, it doesn't matter. And here's something I wish I knew earlier: you don't need a label to start. Too many artists wait around for someone to discover them. But the reality is, you can put out your music right now. Start building your audience, track by track, release by release. If you're consistent, people will find you. And eventually, labels will come knocking anyway. But by then, you will already have some leverage. And here's a game changer: outsource what holds you back. For me, it was mastering. Once I realized I could get professional quality masters for a few $100, it freed me to focus on creating and finishing. And please learn the basics of the music business before you sign anything. Know how royalties work, understand publishing and label deals, sign up with the right organizations so you can collect what you are owed. I wrote a complete book about the music industry you can read in a day, and it tells you everything you need to know. One more thing: don't quit your day job too early. Financial stress will kill your creativity faster than anything else. Use your job as a safety net while you build. Once your music consistently pays your bills, then you can think about making the jump. Part 6. Play the long game. So what does this all add up to? Longevity. You can't rush the process, but you can guarantee success if you just don't quit. One song won't change your life, but consistently releasing music and building a strong catalog over years will. And here's something most people don't talk about: save your money. Every artist, even the ones with massive breakthroughs, experience dips in their career. Nothing lasts forever, and your peak will eventually come down. The question is not if that dip is coming, but how you're going to handle it. So be smart with your money. Invest what you earn into appreciating assets outside of music once your income starts growing. Because financial stability will give you freedom, peace of mind, and the ability to keep creating no matter what stage of your career you are in. And finally, only go for this if you truly intend to make a dent in the world. The music business is too tough, too demanding, and too unpredictable to pursue half-heartedly. But if your vision is to leave an impact, to contribute something meaningful, to create art that outlives you, then the struggle is going to be worth it. That kind of purpose will carry you through the hardest part of the journey. And when you finally get your foot in the door, after all those years of hard work, don't lose your hunger. Stay just as driven as you were on day one. And always remember why you started. So that's what I've learned after more than a decade in the music business. It's mindset, it's persistence, it's resilience, it's creativity, it's business. But above all, it's about loving the process of creating. The music industry is a long game, but if you believe in your vision, embrace failure as part of the path, keep learning, and never quit, I promise you, you will find your place in it. Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about something every upcoming DJ and producer dreams about. The moment when things finally start to click. I'm gonna break down 5 clear signs you're about to blow up. And if you're seeing even 1 or 2 of these signs right now, trust me, you're on the right path. So stick around, because sign number 5 might be happening to you without even realizing it. Alright, the first sign is probably the biggest one. Other DJs are playing your music in their live sets. Yeah, it's cool when a fan downloads your track or shares it on SoundCloud, but when a DJ, especially one who already has their own hit records and literally gets hundreds of promos from labels and other artists, chooses to play your track in front of a crowd, that's the ultimate compliment. You should think about it. They could play any track in the world, but they picked yours. That means it has energy, it fits into their set, and it's good enough to move a room full of people. That's when you know you're not just making music for your bedroom anymore. You're making music for dance floors and main stages. Number 2. Labels are reaching out to you. Now, don't expect a major deal on day one. Sometimes it's just a quick DM or an A&R asking if you have new demos, or maybe an invite to submit for a compilation. But that small message means something huge. You've been on their radar. Labels don't waste their time on random artists. If they're contacting you, it means you've been doing something right for a while, and something you dropped recently pushed you over the edge. Maybe your track started buzzing online, maybe it got played out by another artist, or maybe it caught fire on TikTok. Here's the key. Interest from labels is momentum. You don't always need to sign right away. Sometimes it's smarter to keep building leverage. But if labels are showing up in your inbox, you're definitely turning heads. Number 3. Your fan engagement is changing. When you first start out, fans are casual. Maybe a like here and there, a couple of plays. But when you're close to blowing up, people start going deeper. They're tagging you in Instagram stories when they hear your track in a club, making fan edits of your music, leaving comments asking when the next release is dropping, or sending you messages about how your track hit them emotionally. That's not service level anymore. That's connection. That's how communities form. And when fans shift from passive listeners to active supporters, that's a sign your music is bigger than just you. It's starting to belong to them too. And here's a little bonus connected to this. If playlist curators, YouTube promo channels, or even TikTok creators start picking up your tracks, that's a massive multiplier. These are tastemakers. If they're amplifying your music, your reach can grow overnight. Number 4. You're getting requests to collab or remix. This is a big one because it means other artists see real value in your sound. They don't just like your music, they want a piece of it. It could be another up-and-comer asking for a collab, or a bigger artist inviting you to remix one of their tracks. Either way, that's recognition that your style stands out in a crowded scene. And here's a pro tip. Collabs are one of the fastest ways to grow. You're not just sharing ideas in the studio, you're sharing audiences too. That can take you from unknown to noticed very quickly. And finally, sign number 5. The real world opportunities start rolling in. Promoters hit you up for gigs, you're getting booked for events you used to just attend. Maybe you're opening up for names you once looked up to, or your name starts showing up on lineups and flyers. This is the industry's way of saying you've got momentum. People want to be associated with you because you're bringing energy, fans, and fresh music. Sometimes these signals are subtle. Maybe it's just a few extra local gigs at first, but if doors are opening faster than before, that's not luck. That's momentum stacking up. And here's another one. Managers, booking agents, photographers, and even other DJs start reaching out to you just to stay in touch. That usually means word is spreading behind the scenes. So there you have it. 5 clear signs plus a couple of bonus ones that you're on the edge of blowing up as a DJ or producer. To recap, DJs are playing your tracks in their live sets, labels are interested, fans are leveling up, collab requests are coming in, and real-world gigs are opening up. Adding curators, influencers, and industry folks taking notice, and you've got the recipe for that big breakthrough. If even one of these is happening for you right now, congrats, you're closer than you think. So keep pushing, keep improving, and most importantly, keep putting music out. Because momentum only grows if you feed it. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more and drop a comment telling me which of these signs you have experienced. Who knows, maybe your story will inspire someone else who watches this. Every single day, over 100,000 new tracks hit streaming platforms. Most of them probably forgotten within hours. Now think about your favorite artist. What pops into your head first? Their latest song or their brand? The feeling they give you. The truth is, music gets you noticed, but brand makes you unforgettable. And today I'm going to show you how to build one that lasts. Part 1. What is a music brand? A music brand isn't just a logo or a stage name. It's a total package. How you look, how you sound, what you stand for, and the story fans tell about you. Music pulls people in, but your brand, that's what makes them stay. When someone hears your name, what do they feel? That feeling, whether it's energy, rebellion, or connection, that is your brand. And if you don't define it, the world will define it for you. Part 2. Why music alone isn't enough. Thousands of songs drop every single day. Even if your track is amazing, it's competing for attention with millions of others. Your brand is what makes you recognizable, memorable, and shareable. It's what turns a one-time listener into a lifelong fan. Think of it this way. Your songs are the chapters, but your brand is the complete book. Without the biggest story, it's just random pages. Part 3. The 5 pillars of a strong music brand. Let's break this down into 5 pillars of a strong music brand. Number 1. Visual identity. Your looks, your colors, your cover art, your lifestyle. Tiesto's brand screams premium. Private jets, residencies, champagne culture. His entire image says luxury experience. That's intentional. Number 2. Voice and message. What do you stand for? Are your lyrics about positivity, rebellion, escape? Fred again is a perfect example here. His voice as an artist is about vulnerability, capturing real-life moments, and turning them into emotional, communal experiences. Number 3. Personality. This is all about you. Are you mysterious, approachable, outrageous? Martin Garrix's approachable and likable vibe is why so many fans feel like they know him. Number 4. Consistency. If your Instagram looks different from your shows and your music videos tell a third story, people will get confused. Consistency makes your band stick. Let's take Alesso. He's been consistent for years with his cinematic, melodic and uplifting style. And for over a decade, he still closes big main stages and festivals all around the globe. Number 5. Community. Brand isn't just about you, it's about them. Do your fans feel like they're part of something bigger? That's where Fred Again concert feels like family gatherings. Fans aren't just watching, they're part of the energy. Part 4. Some real-world examples. Tiesto's brand goes beyond tracks. He's built an image of luxury and exclusivity. Private jets, residencies, high-end lifestyle. Fans aren't just buying into his music. They're buying into the ideal of success and celebration he represents. Martin Garrix's brand is about approachability and excitement. His fans feel connected enough to wait hours at airports just for a glimpse. He genuinely feels like a friend you wish the best in everything he does. And Fred Again, his brand is built on raw honesty and pure authenticity. He records his friends' conversations, phone notes and even WhatsApp voice messages, and he turns them into tracks. Fans don't just love his music, they feel like they know his world. Alesso's brand has always leaned into cinematic and big energy. From closing all massive festival main stages with big fireworks to luxury aesthetics, his identity makes his music feel like an experience on its own. These aren't accidents, they're intentional branding choices that align completely with the artist behind it. And here's the key, you don't have to be at their level yet. You just have to be clear on your own vision and who you are. Part 5. How to build your brand, step by step. Okay, let's make this actionable. Here's how you can start building your own brand right now. Number 1. Define your core. Grab a notebook. Write down 3 words that describe your music and your personality. Maybe even your hobbies and interests. That's your foundation. Number 2. Audit your visuals. Look at your social media, your artworks, even your outfits you like to wear daily. Do they match those 3 words? If not, it's time to realign. Number 3. Craft your story. Every post should feel like part of your bigger narrative. Behind the scenes clips, live shows highlights, even casual TikToks and Reels. They should all reinforce your story. Number 4. Engage your community. Reply to comments, share fan art, shout out to listeners. People don't just want to hear your music, they want to connect with you. Part 6. Common mistakes to avoid. Here are the biggest mistakes artists make with branding. The first one is changing their style too often. It's confusing for fans. The second one is copying other artists instead of owning their own uniqueness and authentic self. And the last one, ignoring fans, treating them like numbers instead of people. Your brand isn't about pretending to be something you're not. It's about amplifying the real you in a way fans can connect with. That's what real authenticity looks like. So if you're serious about making it in music, stop thinking only about your tracks. Start thinking about your brand. Because your songs are the soundtrack, but your brand is the world fans want to live in. Now I want to hear from you. What 3 words define your brand? Let me know. And if this video helped you, subscribe for more and share this with another artist who needs to hear it. So, you've just started gaining traction. But now comes the part most artists avoid, the business. And here's the harsh reality. If you don't understand how money flows in music, you will end up working for free while someone else profits from your art. In this chapter, I'll break down royalties, record deals, and the rights every musician needs to protect. Because knowledge is power, and in music, knowledge is ownership. This is chapter 3, the business of music. Ever heard the phrase, there are always 2 sides to every story? Well, in the music industry, every single track has 2 sides too. And if you don't understand both, you will never fully get how the business and the money actually works. So in this video, I'm breaking down the 2 sides of every song, the 2 copyrights you need to know, and how royalties flow to writers, artists, labels, and publishers. Let's dive in. And quick note before we start, everything I'm explaining here comes straight from my book. I wrote it because when I first started as a producer and artist, I was completely clueless about royalties. I just put out music and years later I kept getting money in my account. And honestly, I thought it was a mistake. Like one day they would ask me to pay it all back. It turns out it wasn't a mistake. I just didn't know about all the royalty streams in music. That curiosity led me to years of learning, writing it down and finally turning it into a book. So if you like this, the book goes way deeper. Alright, let's start with the basics. Every track has 2 sides. The composition side, aka the publishing side. This is the melody, the lyrics and music written by songwriters. It's the idea of a track, often captured in a demo. Then we got the recording, aka the master side, the actual recorded version of that ID, performed in the studio by an artist. This is what you hear on Spotify, Apple Music or the radio. And here's something beginners often miss. One composition can have many recordings, like a remix, a cover and even a parody. They all come from the same song copyright, but each one is a new master recording. Here's where the roles split. Most big artists don't write all their own songs. Some do, and we call them singer-songwriters, but a lot of pop stars have entire writing teams behind them. And that makes sense, because writers can create demos anywhere, anytime. Artists, on the other hand, need budgets, studios, and a full team to record and release. At the top level, touring and promotion take up so much time that writing often gets outsourced. That doesn't mean artists aren't creative, it just means the business runs on specialization. In the end, writers need artists to bring their songs to life, and artists need writers for a constant supply of material. And because there are 2 sides, there are also 2 copyrights. The first one is the song copyright, usually owned by the songwriter or their publisher. Then we got the sound recording or master copyright, usually owned by the label, unless the artist is independent. Copyright gives the owner control, the right to decide how a work is used, licensed, reproduced and distributed. So if you wrote the song, you own the composition copyright. If you recorded it, you or your label owns the master copyright. Now let's move into money. First up are the publishing royalties. These pay the songwriters and the publishers. There are 3 main types. The first one is performance royalties. Every time your song is performed publicly, like radio, TV, live venues, streaming, and even restaurants and gyms. This is collected by a PRO like ASCAP, BMI, or PRS. At the end of the year, they track plays and pay out to writers and publishers. Number 2 are mechanical royalties. Every time your song is reproduced, like on a CD, download or stream. In the US, sales and downloads go through the Harry Fox agency, while streaming is handled by the MLC. Outside the US, usually one government agency handles both payments. 3. Sync royalties. When your song is synced with video, like in movies, ads, Netflix series or video games. The publisher licenses the song and collects a one-time fee. Plus, you will also see performance royalties every time that video is broadcast. So those are the publishing royalties. If you're a songwriter, these are your paychecks. Now let's flip it. Master royalties go to the artists and labels who recorded the song. These also come in 3 main forms. 1. The neighboring rights. These are the performance royalties for recordings, when the recording is played publicly, like radio, non-interactive streaming like Pandora, and also restaurants and gyms. In the US, Sound Exchange collects this and pays the artists and labels separately. Number 2, the recording revenue. This is the most straightforward one. Money from sales, downloads, or streams of the master recording. Streaming platforms like Spotify pay labels and distributors who then pay the artists according to their contract. 3. Sync royalties. The other side of the sync. To use the recording itself in a movie, ad, or game, the label or artist grants a master use license. That's another one-time fee, usually split between label and the artist. This is why sync is so powerful. One sync deal can mean a big upfront fee for the publisher side, another big fee for the master side, and ongoing performance royalties every time the video airs. And of course a spike in streams when new fans hear your song. If you own both sides, so publishing and master, you literally get paid twice. And that's why one good sync can change your whole life. So here's the big picture. Publishing royalties pay songwriters and publishers. Master royalties pay artists and labels. Together, they form the 2 sides of the music business. Miss one side and you leave money on the table. So now you understand the foundation. Every track has 2 sides and each side has its own royalties. If you want to keep learning, make sure to subscribe. And if you want the full roadmap of the music business, check out my book, The Complete Music Industry Guide on Amazon. Have you ever thought about signing a record deal? Maybe you've heard terms like royalties, advances, or recoupment, but what do they actually mean? In this video, we will break down the basics of record deals, how they've changed over time, and the 5 main types you need to know. Let's get started. What is a record deal? A record deal is a legal agreement between a label and an artist. The label helps fund, market, and distribute the music, while the artist usually gives up ownership of the master recordings. The deal covers things like the artist share, the royalty rate, the recoupable cost, advances, and what both sides commit to deliver. 50 years ago, artists needed labels because recording equipment was really expensive. Labels owned the studios, covered the cost, and distributed the physical records. In exchange, they kept the masters and most of the revenue. Today, artists can record at home and release music online. Labels are less about studio time and more about money, marketing, and industry connections, like funding music videos, running PR campaigns, and setting up collaborations. To understand deals, you need to know a few key terms. 1. The artist share. The percentage of sales or revenue the artist keeps. It can range up from 10 up to 50%. The royalty rate. The percentage of revenue split between label and artist. Recoupable cost. Money the label spends upfront, like recording, marketing, videos, that must be paid back from the artist share before they see royalties. Advance. An upfront payment to the artist. It's recouped later, so it's really just an advance on future earnings. Commitment. What the artist agrees to deliver, like a certain number of albums or masters that meet technical and commercial standards. Now we go into the 5 main record deals in the music business. The first one, the traditional deal. The label pays for recording, marketing, and distribution, but owns the masters. The artist gets a small royalty, often 10 or 20%, and only after all costs and advances are recouped. The net profit deal, aka the joint venture. Here, artists and labels share costs and profits, usually 50-50, after expenses of course. The artist usually keeps ownership of the masters. This deal is simple, transparent, and popular with independents. The 360 deal. In the 360 deal, the label takes a cut of everything. Music, sales, touring, merch, sponsorships, and sometimes even publishing. In return, they provide big advances and long-term support. Great for starts with leverage, risky for newcomers. The license deal. The artist keeps the masters, but licenses them to a label for a fixed term, often 10 to 15 years. The label promotes and distributes the music during that time, but when the license ends, rights return to the artist. The distribution deal. The simplest and most independent option. A distributor gets your music onto streaming platforms and takes around 10 to 20% of the revenue. You keep ownership as an artist and also creative control, and some distributors offer extras like PR or advances. So, traditional deal, label owns everything, net profit is a fair split, 360 is label takes from all income, license is artist rents out masters, and distribution is artist stays independent. One important point to watch out for is the cross-collateralization. This means unrecouped debt from one deal can carry over into the next. For example, if album A loses money and album B is a hit, profits from album B might still be used to pay off album A. Always check for this clause before signing. So, record deals can launch careers, but they can also trap artists if you don't understand the fine print. Now you know the basics: artist share, recoupment, advances, and the 5 main types of deals. If you're an artist, always read carefully and get legal advice before signing anything. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more music industry breakdowns and drop your questions in the comments below if you want to know more. Ever wondered why some artists can cover a song freely, while others get sued for sampling just 2 seconds of a beat? Today we're breaking down samples, covers, and infringement in the music business. What's legal, what's risky, and how musicians can protect themselves. What is a sample? A sample is an existing piece of someone else's master recording. Maybe a drum break, a riff, or even a single word. If you use this in one of your own tracks, it is called sampling. That recording actually has 2 owners. 1, the songwriter or publisher, who controls the composition, and 2, the label or artist, who owns the master recording. To use a sample legally, you normally need a license for both sides, one for the composition and one for the master recording. Skip either one and you are in risky territory. Sample clearance, replays, and interpolations. Now here's where it gets interesting. Sometimes you don't actually need both licenses. If you don't want to pay for the master recording license, you can create what is called a replay. That means you re-record the part of the song yourself instead of lifting the original audio. This is also known in the industry as an interpolation. Basically when you borrow the melody but record it by yourself. That way you only need to clear the publishing rights. You don't need the label's permission for the master because you never used the recording. A great example is Kanye West's hit Stronger. The hook comes from Daft Punk's Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. But instead of using Daft Punk's original recording, Kanye's team recreated that part. That meant they only had to clear the publishing side and not the master recording. So remember, sampling is using the original audio where you need both the publishing and the master licenses. Interpolation or replay is re-recording it by yourself where you only need the publishing clearance. It's a clever workaround that's become a huge part of the modern music industry production. Part 2. What is a cover? A cover is a second or later recording of an existing composition or song. Releasing your own cover song is different. And the good news is that covers are usually much easier to do legally. But there are rules you need to follow. Here are the 5 rules for recording covers and how to apply them. Rule number 1. Covers are for audio only. A cover license lets you release your own sound recording for streaming, downloads, or CDs. It doesn't automatically give you video rights. Rule number 2. Don't change the song. You must keep the lyrics and melody the same. You can change the style or arrangement, but not rewrite the tune or the words. Rule number 3. Record it yourself. A cover means making your own recording from scratch. You can't borrow any of the original audio from the master recording. Rule number 4. Get the right license. The songwriter still deserves royalties. Normally this means getting a mechanical license, but here's the key. If you follow all these cover rules, in the US this becomes a compulsory license. That means you don't need the publisher's permission to cover the song. You just pay the royalties and they can't stop you from releasing it. Rule number 5. If you want to use it for video, it needs extra permission. A compulsory license only covers audio. If you want to sync your cover to YouTube, TikTok or film, you will need sync rights from the publisher. One important note, compulsory licenses are a US rule. Not every country has the same system. In some places, like much of Europe, you may still need direct publisher permission, even for audio only covers. Always check the rules where you release your music. An example is this. One of the best known cases of this is Dolly Parton's song I Will Always Love You. She wrote and recorded it in the 1970s, and then in 1992, Whitney Houston recorded her own version for the Bodyguard soundtrack. Whitney's version was a cover. She didn't change the lyrics or melody. She re-recorded the song completely and royalties flowed back to Dolly as a songwriter. That cover, released under the rules of a compulsory license, went on to become one of the biggest selling singles of all time. So that shows how powerful covers can be. A new voice, new interpolation, but the law ensures the original songwriter still gets paid. Copyright infringement. Infringement happens when you use copyrighted music without the right licenses. Sometimes it's obvious, like using a melody, or other times it's more subtle. Copying a feel or groove can still land you in court. To see how this plays out, let's look at 2 famous cases. First up, Blurred Lines. In 2013, Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams released a smash hit that dominated radio. But Marvin Gaye's family claimed it sounded too much like his 1970 track Got to Give It Up. Here's the wild part. They didn't sample Marvin Gaye's recording, and they didn't copy the exact melody or lyrics. What they did was capture a similar groove, like the bass line, the party atmosphere, and the vibe. And in 2015, a jury ruled in Gaye's favor, awarding his estate more than $5 million. That case shook the music industry, because it proved you could get sued not just for stealing notes, but for being too close to another artist's style. Now compare that with Vanilla Ice in 1990. His hit Ice Ice Baby used the iconic bass line from Queen and David Bowie's Under Pressure. This wasn't about style or inspiration, it was a direct copy. At first Vanilla Ice even tried to claim it was slightly different, but everybody could hear it. He eventually settled out of court and gave Queen and Bowie their credit and royalties. Together these stories show the spectrum. Blurred Lines was fined for copying a vibe, whereas Ice Ice Baby was fined for directly copying the audio. Both prove one thing: in music, the line between inspiration and infringements are razor thin. So here's the big picture. Covers are recreations, samples are borrowings, and infringement happens when you skip the rules. If you want to go even deeper into this subject, I cover it in my book, The Complete Music Industry Guide, that's available now on Amazon. Getting in is one thing. Lasting is another. Trends change, scenes shift, and if you're not careful, the industry will burn you out before you've even begun. Longevity comes from something deeper, from understanding that art is service, from building habits that keep you grounded, and from constantly feeding your creativity. In this final chapter, I'll share the lessons that go beyond music. Lessons about creativity, growth, and staying true to yourself for the long run. This is chapter 4, Longevity and Creativity. Most artists start their career thinking one thing: if I just make music I love, people will eventually get it. But here's the hard truth: making music for yourself is not enough. Because the moment you hit upload, it stops being your song. It becomes somebody else's soundtrack. Their breakup song, their workout anthem, their reminder to keep going when life gets heavy. Rubin says in The Creative Act that art isn't about self-expression. It's about channeling something bigger than you and offering it as a gift. And when you understand that, everything changes. Your pressure drops, your creativity flows, and your music finally connects. Today, we're talking about why your art is service, not just self-expression, and how this mindset can completely shift the way you approach your music career. Here's the trap most artists fall into. We think music is about proving ourselves, showing people we're talented, making a statement like, look at me, I'm special. But here's the problem. If your art is only about you, it's limited. People might respect it, but they won't feel it. Rubin flips this on its head. He says the artist is not the star. The artist is the messenger. You're not here to show off. You're here to deliver something bigger than you. Think about your favorite song, the one that saved you when you were at your lowest. The artist didn't write it specifically for you, but it served you anyway. That's the true purpose of music. Here's what that means. When you are creating, you can't obsess over your audience. If you try to please them, the art will die. You have to create, honestly, with zero filter. But once a song exists, it's no longer yours. It's a gift, a message, something the world can use however it needs to. That's art as a service. You create with freedom, you release with humility, and you let the music do its work out in the world. And this isn't just theory. Look at the greats. Bob Dylan, he hated being called the voice of a generation. He always said he was just writing what came through him. The songs weren't his to own. And even Adele, her heartbreak albums weren't just her personal diary. They became our soundtracks for healing. That's service. When art is personal but honest, it transforms into something universal. So how do you actually apply this idea of art as service to your career? Here are 5 lessons. Number 1. Create freely. Edit later. Don't think about trends or algorithms while you're making. Serve the truth of the moment. Number 2. Release without attachment. Once it's out, it's not yours anymore. Some people will love it, some won't. That's not your job to control. Number 3. Focus on the listener's experience. Ask, what do people feel when they hear this? Inspired, comforted, energized? Serve that emotional need. Number 4. Let go of perfectionism. Rubin says, finished is better than perfect. Perfection is about protecting your own ego. Service is about letting the art live where it can help others. Number 5. Remember your higher purpose. Why do you make music? To connect, to heal, to inspire? When you tap into that, the grind feels lighter, because you're not doing it just for yourself anymore. At the end of the day, making music isn't about chasing validation, it's about contribution. When you stop creating just to prove yourself and start creating to serve, you'll notice the shift. Less pressure, more freedom, deeper connection with your audience. So here's my challenge for you. The next time you sit down to write, produce or perform, don't ask, will people like this? Ask, who might this help? Who might this serve? Because somebody out there is waiting for the song only you can give. If you want more videos like this, deep dives on mindset, creativity and the real music business, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. What if I told you most creators and musicians don't fail because of talent, but because of how they think, how they structure their time, and how they treat their art like a business. Over the past few years, I've read more than 100 books on self-development, business and creativity. Books like The Psychology of Money, The Creative Act by Rubin, 10x is Easier Than 2x by Dan Sullivan, and classics like As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. And today, I want to give you the ultimate playbook, the lessons from all those books, distilled into one guide for creators and musicians. These aren't theories, they're principles I've tested in my own journey, the highs and the lows. So let's dive in. Part 1. The mindset shift. The first thing almost every book agrees on is this: mindset comes before results. Benjamin Hardy in Be Your Future Self Now says you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your identity. If you see yourself as someone trying to be a musician, you will always be trying. But the moment you say, I am a musician, I am a creator, your actions start aligning with that reality. Joe Dispenza, in Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, explains how most of us live on autopilot, repeating the same thoughts and emotions every day. To break free, you have to act from your desired future, not your familiar past. David Goggins in Can't Hurt Me and Ryan Holiday in The Obstacle is the Way reminds us that struggle isn't failure, it's training. Every rejection, every slow stream month is building resilience. But here's the hard truth. If your mindset isn't strong, this music industry, will eat you alive. I know, because I've been there. There was a point when I lost myself in the music industry. I forgot why I started. I began chasing trends, comparing myself constantly, trying to please everyone, and I drifted away from the music I actually loved. I wasn't leading my own path anymore. I was living other people's voices. That was one of my lowest points. Looking back, I realized the principles in these books were exactly what I needed. Identity, resilience, and thinking bigger. Those weren't just ideas, they were survival skills. They gave me a way to come back to myself, to rebuild my confidence and direction. So the first lesson is clear. Protect your mindset. Without it, everything else crumbles. Part 2. Building your creative business. Now let's talk business. Because whether you like it or not, if you are a creator or a musician, you are an entrepreneur. Alex Hormozi in $100 Million Offers says success comes down to value. People don't just buy, they trade for what's valuable. For a musician, your offer isn't just a song. It's the story, the feeling, the experience, the community you create for your fans. Donald Miller's Building a Story Band teaches us to stop making ourselves the hero. Your fans aren't looking for your story, they're looking for their own story. Your music is a soundtrack to their hero journey. That's how you connect. And Seth Godin in Purple Cow reminds us good is not enough. The world is full of good already. If you want to stand out, you have to be remarkable, different, bold. Now let me share how I lived this out, even before I understood the principles consciously. When I signed my first big label release, it wasn't because I had a huge fan base or a flawless marketing team. Honestly, I didn't have any of that. What actually happened was that I met the right people at the right time. People who saw potential in me and helped me to level up. I wasn't following a self-help framework or a business strategy. I was just in motion, creating, learning, showing up, and saying yes when doors opened. Looking back, I realized I had unknowingly applied exactly what these books talk about. Dan Sullivan's Who Not How is a perfect example. You don't always need to do everything alone. The right collaborators and mentors can open doors you'd never reach by yourself. And Napoleon Hill in Outwitting the Devil teaches that opportunity comes to those moving with intention. I was moving, and because of that, I was ready when the opportunities arrived. So here's the truth. Even without a big following, I was living proof that these principles work. When you stay consistent, when you build momentum, and when you're open to the right people, breakthroughs will happen. And once you understand these ideas consciously, you can repeat the process again and again, deliberately at this time. Part 3. Productivity and creativity. Gary Keller's The One Thing asks, what's the one thing I can do that makes everything else easier or unnecessary? For creators, that one thing is simple. Make your art. Not endless tweaks, not over-analyzing metrics, not waiting for the perfect moment. Just create and focus on becoming great in your art. Cal Newport in So Good They Can't Ignore You takes this even further. He argues that chasing passion isn't enough. The people who succeed are the ones who build rare and valuable skills, what he calls career capital. The more you hone your craft, the more leverage and freedom you gain. For musicians, that means don't just wait to be inspired. Treat your craft like training. Practice deliberately. Push yourself past what feels comfortable. When you get so good they can't ignore you, opportunities will chase you. Newport's Deep Work and Seth Godin's The Practice echo this also. Creativity thrives in consistency. Ritual beats inspiration. Even one focused hour a day compounds into mastery. Austin Kleon's Steal Like an Artist reminds us that originality is remixing. Don't fear influence. Absorb, remix, and make it yours. Rick Rubin's The Creative Act reframes creativity as a practice, not a performance. You're not responsible for the outcome. Your job is simply to show up and create. So the productivity lesson is this. Focus on your one thing, build valuable skills, protect your creative time, and trust the compounding effect of daily practice. Part 4. Money, wealth, and longevity. Morgan Housel in The Psychology of Money says money isn't about numbers, it's about behavior. The goal of money isn't luxury, it's freedom. For creators, that means money is oxygen for your art. It buys time to keep creating. T. Harv Eker in Secrets of the Millionaire Mind and Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich both say the same thing. Wealth starts in the mind. If you believe artists don't make money, you will prove yourself right. Darren Hardy's The Compound Effect shows how small actions compound over time. Every fan, every dollar reinvested, every video uploaded builds over years. And MJ DeMarco's The Millionaire Fastlane is a wake-up call. Stop waiting to get discovered. Build systems that scale. Digital assets, licensing, online platforms. One song, one video, one piece of content can work for you forever. So when it comes to money, the lesson is clear. See money as freedom. Rewire your beliefs, play long-term, and build assets that keep working while you sleep. Part 5. The inner game. Bob Proctor, Neville Goddard, and David Bayer all say the same thing. Your outer world mirrors your inner beliefs. If you secretly believe you're not good enough or that music doesn't pay, you will act in ways that sabotage yourself. Books like Feeling is the Secret, Born Rich, and Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life by Bob Proctor show us that success begins inside. You have to see it, feel it, and act from it before it shows up in reality. This ties back to my earlier story, when I lost myself in the industry. I ended up chasing other people's expectations and drifting away from what I actually loved. But once I rebuilt my inner game, redefining who I was, what I stood for, and what I believed was possible, everything started to shift again. So the inner game lesson is this. If you want to change your career, start by changing your paradigm and the way you see yourself in the world you want to work in. After reading more than 100 books and living through my own ups and downs, here's what I know. Number 1. Identity drives everything. Become the person you want to be. Number 2. Creativity is a daily practice. Show up regardless of mood. Number 3. Treat your art like a business. Package value, tell stories, and stand out. Number 4. Money is freedom. Build assets, think long term. Number 5. Mindset is the multiplier. Your beliefs either cap you or launch you. When I lost myself in the music industry, these principles brought me back. When I had no fan base but met the right people, these principles carried me forward. And when I sat down to read book after book, I realized they were all pointing to the same truth. If this resonated, hit subscribe for more content on mindset and the music business. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs your unique voice, shared with courage, consistency, and purpose. Now go create. So here it is, the full roadmap. From surviving the early struggles, to breaking into the industry, to mastering the business, and finally, learning how to last for the long run. If there's one thing I hope you take away, it's this. Success in music isn't about a single break or a single talent. It's about resilience, persistence, and the courage to keep going when most people quit. Wherever you are on your journey, whether you're still building your mindset, chasing your first release, figuring out the business, or focusing on longevity, you don't have to walk it alone. This channel is here to guide you, step by step. So if you found this helpful, subscribe, explore my other videos linked below, and get a copy of my book on Amazon. Think of this as a start and not the end of your roadmap. Keep creating, keep growing, and remember, the world needs your music. I'll see you in the next video.